complicated. Okay? So make sure that you write it down exactly the way that I'm writing it down. Our problem, it's our sample problem number 2. It's negative 2 times the absolute value of negative 19 plus 3 minus a negative 3 times the absolute value of negative 4 minus 25 plus 7. Okay, copy it down. These are the complex ones. Okay, and you have to follow the steps exactly, otherwise you're going to get them wrong. Now remember, when we're solving these, we are using GEMDAS. Okay, so the first thing according to GEMDAS is that I have to do my grouping symbols. Okay, my grouping symbol in this case is these absolute value signs. But in order to do it, I actually have to solve this inner piece first for both of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite everything else. Can I touch this negative 2 yet? No, because it's not inside the grouping symbol. So I'm going to write it, negative 2, and it says that it's times the absolute value of this thing. Now I have to solve what's inside, but remember, in this next step, I have to keep my absolute value signs. So there's my absolute value sign, and now I'm going to do the math. Negative 19 plus 3 means what? This one's positive, this one's negative, so I'm subtracting. What do I get? 16, and it's negative. Then I bring my subtraction sign down. I just copy everything. I can't touch this negative 3 yet, so I write it. Again, I have to keep my absolute value signs. Then I solve what's in the inside. Okay, and so to solve what's on the inside, I'm going to say that in math, I don't subtract, I add the opposite. And now I have a negative 4 plus a negative 25. They're both negative, so I add, and 4 plus 25 is 29, and it should be negative. And then I still have my plus 7. Okay? Am I done with my grouping symbols? No. Now I have to actually solve what's the absolute value. So I'm not crossing off my grouping symbol yet because I'm not done. So now in my next step, I'm going to solve what the absolute values are. Can I touch the 2? No. So I just have to write it. But it's negative 2 times this absolute value. So I'm going to put my times symbol, and now I'm going to solve my absolute value. The absolute value of negative 16 is? 16. Minus, can I touch this negative 3? No. Nope. Times the absolute value of negative 29, which is? 29. Plus my 7. Now my grouping symbols are done and I can cross it off. Yes, Nick?
Could you put the multiplication problems in quotations?
Could I put parentheses? I could, if I wanted.
It's so smushed up.
Okay, it's not actually smushed up if you write it correctly. You can use parentheses, but the problem with using parentheses is that you're going to end up with something like negative 2 times 16 minus negative 3 times 29, right? And you might think, oh, how do I do that? And so if you change it to that multiplication sign here, you remember that you have to multiply. Okay, because what I've seen is, I've seen kids go from here to here, and somewhere they add them, or they subtract them. They forget that this means 2 times the absolute value. So by putting the dot, I'm helping you remember it's a multiplication piece now. Okay, but if you want to put parentheses like this, it is okay. All right, now, okay, I'm just going to erase this guy so it's not in our space. Okay, so now we have to do our next step. Do we have exponents? No, we don't have any exponents, so I'm crossing them off. Do we have multiplication or division? Yes, so we have to do them in a left to right fashion. So I'm going to start over on the left side of my problem, and I'm going to do all multiplication and division. Negative 2 times 16 is? Negative 32, because a negative times a positive makes a negative. Can I touch the subtraction sign? Nope. So I'm just going to write it. And now I have a negative 3 times a 29. So I might come over here and I might do my math. 3 times 9 is 27. Carry my 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2, 8. Positive or negative? Negative. Plus my 7. Now, I'm going to make sure that I don't subtract in algebra. I add the opposites. Am I done with multiplication and division? Yes, it's all taken care of. I can cross it off. So now I have to do adding and subtracting in a left to right fashion. So I'm going to come and I'm going to do my first 2 problems, a negative 32 and a positive 87. This one's negative. This is positive. What am I really doing?
Subtracting.
If the signs are different, you subtract. So we have 87 minus 32. 7 minus 2 is 5. 8 minus 3 is 5. And it should be positive or negative? Positive, because my 87 is bigger. But I still have my plus 7. I have to write it. Okay, and one of the things that I do when I go and I combine 2 things and I have more left is I like underline them and I say, hey, I'm going to combine these 2 first and I can't forget about this guy. So I might, after I combine them, I might say, okay, I'm done with them, but don't forget to write this guy, because sometimes you guys drop terms just because you forget about them. So you got to be really careful. So find a system to cross off the ones that you've used so that you can see what still has to be used. Okay, and now I have 55 plus 7, and they're both positive, so what am I really doing? Adding. So I'm going to add 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry my 1, and 1 plus 5 is 6. So my answer is 62. Okay.